ang problemang kinakaharap po nito. Sa totoo po, hirap po makapasok sa trabaho ang ating mga senior high graduates. There is discrimination of K-12 senior high graduates contrary to the spirit and wisdom of the existing law. Oh, Mr. Chair, ang trabaho ay pinanggagalingan ng dignidad at respeto ng isang tao. The Department of Education began to implement the K-12 Senior High School Manual of Operations. So much research, study, public funds, and hard work went into the implementation of the K-12 program. The promised results of employment opportunity for our senior high school graduates. You look at the job ads here in the Philippines, even government ads. The priority is still the hiring of college graduates.
Now, called to order. Let me first of all thank our good chair, Senator Chis Escudero, for giving us the opportunity to lead this subcommittee. And before we start, may I just place into the record and acknowledge the presence of our colleague, the chairperson of the Senate Committee on Basic Education and the chairman of the Education Commission 2, no other than Senator Sherwin Gatchalian. Thank you, Your Honors, for being here. I also would like to acknowledge is on his way Senator Rafi Tulpo, who will also join us in today's hearing. Let me also acknowledge our resource persons present here today. We have with us from TESDA, we have DDG, Deputy Director General for Special Concerns, DDG Vidal Villanueva III, sir. We also have with us Director Floramel Joy Songsong, the Executive Director, OIC of the Partnerships and Linkages Office. We also have with us Chief TASD Specialist, PLO, Attorney Clifford Pascual. And from TESDA, Chief TASD Specialist, Miss Maria Linda Andrade. Ayun, si Linda pala yun. We also have with us a representative from the Department of Labor and Employment, Yusek Carmela Torres. Ma'am, good afternoon. We also have with us from DOLE Chief Rosalinda Pineda from the Bureau of Local Employment. Unfortunately, we don't have with us the representative of the employers and the employees because of COVID yata. I'm not sure kung ano, and I just wish that they were able to send a representative, no? Hindi man sila, but we will definitely coordinate with them. Unfortunately, there's no representative right now, but we will coordinate with them. Also with us is the Chief Legal Officer of 2nd Congressional Commission, Attorney Joseph Noel Estrada. Thank you. Thank you very much. Again, we acknowledge Senator Rafi Tulfo is also here with us. May I just give a very short opening statement? Una, mapagpalang tanghali pong muli sa atin lahat. Alam niyo po, itong araw na ito ay espesyal sa atin dahil yung tatalakayin po natin ay isa sa mga advokasya na malapit sa puso natin, malapit sa puso ng mga educators. Just a few days ago, we were talking about this in the Education Commission 2, and that's why I'm happy that our chairman, Senator Win Gatchalian, is also joining us. Ito po yung pagpapalawig ng mga oportunidad para sa enterprise-based education and training. Kasama po sa tatalakayin ng ating panukalang batas, ang mga panukalang batas gaya ng Senate Bill number 363 at House Bill number 7400. You know, when TESDA formulated the NTESDP 2018-2022 o yung National Technical Education and Skills Development Plan, the agency set an ambitious target to increase the percentage of learners taking enterprise-based training from 4% in 2016, ang tinarget sa 2022 ay 40%. However, by the end of 2022, we are still far from such targets, with enrollees and graduates reaching only 209,975 or 16.66% of all TVET learners and 190,979 or 15.51% respectively. The number of enterprise-based and education training providers also remain very low. Prior to the pandemic in 2019, we already have 983 providers. In 2022, we only had 830. Ngayong August of 2023, mas mababa pa po, 684 providers. Kaya this is such a concern, and this is really unfortunate considering that when you talk about enterprise-based education and training, it has proven to be a reliable bridge connecting our trainees to employment. In fact, dun po sa 2021 study ng employment of 2020 TVET graduates by TESDA, the three highest employment outcomes came from enterprise-based training modalities. Under dual training system, 100% na i-empleyo yung graduates ng dual training system. 100% then of the graduates were absorbed by the enterprise after their training. Yung susunod po, learnership program, 90.20%. Meanwhile, yung in-company modality graduates were hired after their in-company arrangement, 89.67%. Kaya po mahalaga na sa pagdinig natin ngayong araw na ito ay marinig po natin kung ano yung mga po pwede natin gawin mula sa ating mga resource persons, what we could do to improve these numbers, how we can improve the existing legal framework ng enterprise-based education training to maximize its potential. May mga questions po during the Education Commission 2, like tama po ba ang distribution natin sa ating scholarship at support mechanisms para sa iba't ibang modes ng pag-deliver ng TVET courses? Dun sa mga nakausap natin ng mga industry, they were still requesting dahil they see that there's a big opportunity in their industries. Sapat po ba yung enterprise-based education and training ng mga trainers natin at assessors? That's a different story naman. Yung sistema po ba ng pagrehistro ng mga programa at pagbibigay ng incentives sa ating mga enterprises, malinaw po ba at madali? Yung mga industry partners natin, sabi, pagpunta nila dun sa BIR, sabi ng BIR, hindi namin alam paano computein yan eh. Paano namin kukumputin yung tax breaks o benefits na binibigay sa inyo? Kung yung BIR hindi nakakaalam, paano pang may engganyo yung mga enterprises, no? Paano ba natin mapoprotektahan yung TVET learners upang ma-maximize nila yung kanilang enterprise-based education and training? So ito lang po yung ilan sa mga tanong na nais nating bigyan tugon ngayong araw na ito. And we hope to explore in today's hearing the concerns of our colleagues, our friends from other sectors, and we look forward to enriching discussion for today's hearing. Maraming salamat, and may God bless us all. May I invite our colleague, Senator Win, Senator Tulpo. Senator Win, our chairman of the Education Commission 2 is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a short opening remarks. I do support the passage of this bill because statistics will bear out that there's only 4% of all the scholarship and training programs of TESDA is channeled to enterprise-based training. And just to put it simply, enterprise-based training is a form of apprenticeship for our trainees in which they at the same time learn the actual and the practicality of the company that they are employed in, and at the same time they learn new skills, they learn new knowledge in order to do it to be more efficient and to be knowledgeable in that employment. So it's important that we expand this program, Mr. Chairman, and it's important also that we channel more funds as well as encourage more companies to join into the EBT program. And the bill also specified some incentives, and that is a way for companies to be enticed to join into the EBT program. The EBT program is not new. It's just it's not being maximized, and corporations are not attracted to join this program. But I feel that this is really one of the more important, or probably the most important programs under TESDA that we should expand in order to create more jobs and highly skilled workers. No? So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Sherwin Gatchalian of the Education Commission and the Senate Committee Chair of Basic Education. We now recognize our dear colleague, Senator Raffy Tulfo. Sir, you're recognized.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Majority Floor Leader, Senator Joel Villanueva, Senator Win Gatchalian. Good morning to all our distinguished guests and resource persons. Isang karapatang pangtao po ang pagkakaroon ng trabaho. Mr. Chair, ang trabaho ay pinanggagalingan ng dignidad at respeto ng isang tao. Samantalang taong walang trabaho ay miserable. Work goes into the very core of what makes us decent people. And so, here in the Senate, pursuant to our constitutional mandate, we continue to find ways to equip our people with the right tools toward being effective members of the workforce. In academic year 2016 to 2017, the Department of Education began to implement the K-12 Senior High School Manual of Operations. This is the aspect of the K-12 program where the senior high school graduates are given education and training sufficient for 4 potential exit points. Number 1, employment. Number 2, entrepreneurship. Number 3, middle-level skills development. And number 4, higher education. So much research, study, public funds, and hard work went into the implementation of the K-12 program. And while some are getting impatient on the promised results of employment opportunity for our senior high school graduates, I believe that we should first try to support what has been started instead of having a knee-jerk reaction of abruptly terminating its implementation. Para matulungan po ang K-12 program, kailangan po natin munang aminin sa ating mga sarili ang problemang kinakaharap po nito. Sa totoo po, hirap po makapasok sa trabaho ang ating mga senior high graduates. We promise them employability in a level above that of the usual high school graduate because the senior high program is supposed to provide them with skills in education that would meet the needs of the industry. Unfortunately, if you look at the job ads here in the Philippines, even government ads, the priority is still the hiring of college graduates. There is discrimination of K-12 senior high graduates contrary to the spirit and wisdom of the existing law. Companies hiring K-12 graduates are predominantly from sectors such as construction, food and beverage services, BPO, and food processing. According to a study conducted by the Philippine Business for Education, only about 20% of 70 leading companies across all sectors in the country were inclined to hire senior high graduates. The problem is that there is a disconnect between our educational curriculum, particularly in senior high, and actual industry needs which may be addressed through enterprise-based training program, which is what the present bill is all about. But I propose that the enterprise-based training program must be integrated as early as in the senior high curriculum. This makes senior high graduates job ready. Our senior high students must have already an apprenticeship program that will count as experience for them to immediately enter the workforce after graduation. Ang aking pong suggestion, Mr. Chair, tulad po ng ginagawa pag sa mga college courses, sa last semester ng senior high, sila po ay pupunta sa isang tinatawag na on-the-job training sa company o sa field na gusto nilang papasukin. And after makapagbuo sila ng kanilang several hours required, then when they graduate, sila po ay meron na agad trabaho sapagkat sila po ay nasanay na doon sa kumpanya na kung saan sila nag-on-the-job training, na alam na nila yung mga pasikot-sikot doon. And siguro po, doon sa mga company na mag-hire doon sa mga graduate ng senior high, bibigyan ng incentive. Instead na sa present bill na we have suggesting 75%, makakatipid ng 25% ang employer, ang aking pong suggestion, full pay. Kasi nga po, nakapag-OJT na sila during their senior high last SEM. So dapat full pay na po sila kasi inaasahan po ng mga magulang yan dahil after makapag-graduate sa high school, yun ang iniisip ng mga parents na makapagtrabaho at makatulong. So full pay with all the benefits. Then upon graduation, they should be able to continue their training program, but compensation should no longer be limited to 75% of the minimum wage. There must be a mechanism so that the EBET program will not be abused to circumvent security of tenure and the workers' right to proper and reasonable wages. Hindi dapat ito magamit na parang kapalit ng in-endo scheme ng mga kumpanya. We must clarify the labor standards of the EBET program. And to further encourage employment of senior high graduates and the implementation of this EBET program, we may provide more than just tax incentives. We could also provide recognition awards to participating enterprises and incentives from LGUs for hiring local senior high graduates. Mr. Chair, I fully support this bill dahil ang batas na makapagbibigay ng trabaho at makatarungan na sweldo sa ating mga kababayan ay pangmatagalan na solusyon sa napakaraming problema na kinakaharap nila sa araw-araw. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will reserve my questions regarding this bill later.
Thank you, Senator Tulfo. Again, let me reiterate what my two colleagues emphasized today before we start the hearing. The chairperson of EDCO made a statement about the importance of enterprise-based education and training. We have seen its successes in the past, but unfortunately, we have yet to encourage our enterprises to join and participate, and there's something wrong about it. But on the other hand, there is also the concern, a valid concern raised by our distinguished colleague, Senator Tulfo, that this particular program can be subject to abuse, which is true. It had happened before, and we don't want to make the same mistakes again by continuously hiring enterprise-based training and education when they are already have mastered the program, and yet they are still getting below minimum wage. So that is the challenge to all of us, especially in ensuring that if we're going to pass such a measure like this, we have to make sure that all the safety nets are in place, and at the end of the day, we'll be able to protect our learners and our would-be potential workers. Also, it's also a thing to entertain the idea of somehow synchronizing the programs of K to 12, as mentioned by Senator Tulfo, with the participation already of enterprises. Because in the present situation, when you talk about enterprise-based, before they actually get into the program, they must be at least high school graduate, if I'm not mistaken, no? Or at least pass an assessment test being required by the enterprises. So we'll look into that and discuss further. Perhaps we can ask probably the representative of TESDA first, and then Dole, and then EDCOM before we ask questions. The DG Villanueva, who is I'm not sure if he is my cousin or we are related, but probably in the lolo ng mga lolo ng mga lolo. Sige po, DDG Vidal, you're recognized, sir.
Good afternoon po, Mr. Chairman. To our beloved Senator Joel Villanueva, the one and only test the man. To Senator Win Gatchalian, the chairman of IDCOM 2, the Senate, and the chairman of the Basic Education. To the idol ng bayan, Senator Raffy Tulpo. Let me also acknowledge, Mr. Chairman, the Undersecretary of DOLI, Yusek Ami Torres, to all guests and participants for this afternoon's deliberation. Mr. Chair, TESDA fully supports the passage of this proposed bill as it is supportive of the priority of the agency to intensify the implementation of enterprise-based training through the increased and deeper industry and enterprise participation in TVET. Strengthening the EBT is the part of identified strategies of the National Technical Education and Skills Development Plan, or NTSDP, for the fifth cycle 2018 to 2022 to 2028. Also, it is aligned with the recommendation of 2021 ASEAN Development Bank TVET sector study, Technical and Vocational and Training in the Philippines in the Age of Industry 4.0, which emphasized the need to greater industry involvement to meet the rapidly changing industry demands. The enterprise-based and education training is consistently found to result in a higher employment rate among the graduates compared to other training modality or delivery modes, according to the study on the employment of TVET graduates, or SETG. In 2021, only 5.27% of TVET graduates were trained under EBT. Results of the cost-benefit study on the dual training system showed that the benefit outweighed the cost of training for the firm, both in short and long terms. This is empirical basis that TESDA is capitalizing to stimulate more commitment of the enterprises to expand their participation in DTS, EBT, and apprenticeship in general through the recognition of industry boards, implementation of EBT to the maximum level, among others. With this, Mr. Chairman, we express our thanks and gratitude to the good chairman for really advocating for the entire TVET sector in the country. Thank you so much and mayong hapon kanatong tanan.
Dagang salamat, DDG Villanueva. Let me also put into the records that here in the Senate, yung apprenticeship bill is being sponsored now by Senator Jinggoy Estrada on the floor. And of course, that's just part of the bigger pie here that we're talking about, which is the enterprise-based education and training na, again, nakikita natin na isa sa pinakamatibay, pinaka-epektibo na modality para makakuha ng maganda at disenteng trabaho ang ating mga kababayan. We give the floor now to the representative of DOLE. Ma'am, Yusek Torres, you're recognized, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Your Honor, Senator Joel Villanueva, Senator Win Gatchalian, Senator Raffy Tulpo, DDG Villanueva of TESDA, and senior officials present, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. For and in consideration of Senate Bill 363 and the House Bill number 7400, or strengthening the enterprise-based education and training, please allow the Department of Labor and Employment to provide our views and recommendations. Let me commend the legislators, as the bills are geared towards increasing the income ability of the workforce, which are key outcomes of the Philippine Development Plan, the Labor and Employment Plan 2023 to 2028, and the National Technical Education and Skills Development Plan for 2023 to 2028. There are two specific outcomes in these plans which are increasing the employability of the workforce and expanding access to employment and work opportunities. Under the LEP, or the Labor and Employment Plan, The outcome on increasing the employability of the workforce will pursue specific strategies and in line with the proposed bills. One is aligning development objectives for basic higher education, TVET, and professional education based on labor requirements. And second is develop modern and responsive TVET apprenticeships, basic and higher education and professional development interventions. Under the same plan, specific outputs and targets have been identified, which includes targets for the enterprise-based training for apprenticeship and dual training. These are contained in a results matrix which have been discussed and approved by our tripartite constituents, the labor, the employers, and the government, and the targets have been identified. There's an oversight tripartite committee which will assess and monitor the plan's implementation. Likewise, the bills complement and align with the Trabajo para sa Bayan Act, the Employment Master Plan, which was recently signed into law with the key objectives of improving the employability and competitiveness of the Filipino workers. The IRR are currently being developed with Dole as co-chair with NEDA and DTI. These bills are timely and relevant and consistent with the country's strategic direction on increasing the employability of the workforce. By incorporating apprenticeship and dual training, this allows for a market-driven TVET which meets the requirements of industries and through a comprehensive industry-based approach. 10 key employment generators under the Labor and Employment Plan have been identified. These sectors or industries are expected to generate the needed employment in the country for the next 5 years. These sectors include IT, BPM, creative industries, transportation, manufacturing, construction, tourism, education, and health. The DOLE has been collaborating with industry associations which have drawn their respective roadmaps in identifying critical and in-demand skills for the next few years. Further, enterprises classified under these industry sectors are good basis for organizing apprenticeships, dual training, and/or enterprise-based training programs to develop a pool of needed talents and professionals. Apprenticeships for the youth allows for a seamless transition from school to work. Focus on the youth is essential given the current youth unemployment rate, which is 13%, according to PSA September 2023 figures. Graduates from K to 12 or senior high school must be given the opportunity to find decent and quality jobs and the opportunity to enhance their skills and competencies through apprenticeships, enterprise-based training, or youth employability programs. A Job Street survey of senior high school reported in 2023 that which showed an increased awareness and willingness in the number of companies to hire senior high schools at 57.7%. Before it was just 24%. Based on the labor force survey of 2023 September, current employment rate is 95.5%, unemployment at 4.5%, and underemployment at 10.7%. Job skills mismatch still continue, but the gap has been slowly reduced. There are strategies and measures implemented to address some of this mismatch. DOLE has been implementing the youth employability programs like special program for the employment of students. The government internship program and Job Start are forms of apprenticeship internships which can assist the youth transition from school to work. Partnerships have been drawn with the private sector. Some good examples are with McDonald's, with SM Incorporated, and Aboitiz. The apprenticeships for adults are viable options for meeting the growing needs for upskilling and reskilling, and with emerging technologies in the digital, green, and care economies. Accordingly, we kindly recommend to include the definition of apprenticeship and dual training for this legislative agenda as a standard reference. We also highly recommend the incorporation of the Philippine Qualifications Framework and the Philippine Skills Frameworks provisions and standards in training regulations to ensure industrial transformation that is sustained by responsive human capital and skills development strategies. Employers, industry organizations, and educational institutions may engage in skills occupations mapping of skills inadequacy and propose measures. Moreover, we support incentivizing the enterprises that are participating in enterprise-based training programs. This can encourage more enterprise participation and involvement in high-quality TVET and shaping globally oriented human resources. Your Honors, may we recommend that the provisions of the bill be reviewed further in the light of Senate Bill 1083 by Senator Jinggoy Estrada and Company entitled An Act Reforming the National Apprenticeships and align the provisions of this bill for tighter complementation. Finally, the bill on strengthening enterprise-based training, education, and training has been identified as a priority bill of the Labor and Employment Plan 2023 to 2028. Thank you, Your Honors, for the opportunity to contribute to our comments on the enterprise-based education and training bills.
Thank you very much, Yusek Torres. Let me also put into the records that it is this Congress that passed the Trabaho para sa Bayan Law. Di ko alam sinong author at sponsor nun, but I'm sure co-author and co-sponsor si Senator Rafi at Senator Win Gatchalian. So it's a very good law. And I would just like to point out, kasi I saw something there, yung incorporation of PQF. This representation is also the principal author and sponsor of the Philippine Qualifications Framework. It's supposed to be incorporated. Let me put that on record. It's supposed to be incorporated because there are supposed to be level descriptors doon sa PQF. But unfortunately, the past 4 years, 4 na beses lang nag-meeting yung PQF-NCC. Buti na lang ngayong administrasyon na to, nagmi-meeting na po sila. Before we ask questions, and with the indulgence of my colleagues, last to make a statement is our dear friend from the Education Commission, our Chief Legal Officer of EDCOM2, Attorney Joseph Noel Estrada. Sir, you're recognized.
Maraming salamat po. Magandang hapon po, Senator Joel Villanueva, the chairman of the subcommittee and also one of our commissioners in the Second Congressional Commission on Education. Good afternoon din po, Senator Win Gatchalian, also our chairman of the Second Congressional Commission on Education, or EDCOM2, and of course to Senator Rafi Tulpo, whom I had the privilege to meet last week personally. Magandang hapon po sa inyo. So on behalf of the EDCOM2, we'd like to manifest that enterprise-based training, or EBT, constitutes a key priority for EDCOM 2 within the purview of the Standing Committee on Technical Vocational Education and Training and Lifelong Learning. And this aligns seamlessly with the recommendations set forth by EDCOM 1 to reform apprenticeships under the Labor Code. So a bit of legislative history. Additionally, it underscores the imperative to institutionalize the dual training system, aiming to foster heightened engagement with enterprise-based training opportunities. Thus, following the first EDCOM, the following were pursued. RA 1826, or the National Apprenticeship Act of 1957, was amended in Republic Act 7796, transferring the determination of apprenticeshable occupations with the TESDA, and Republic Act 7686, or the Dual Training System Act, was passed in 1994. Now we're looking at these two critical bills authored by our commissioners in EDCOM. The House counterpart was approved and filed by Congressman Mark Go on the same subject matter. And we recognize in EDCOM the salient points of the bill, Senate Bill 363, as follows. First is the incorporation of the 7 modalities of the EBT, use of an aptitude test for the selection of trainees by either the enterprise or TESDA, and the inclusion of a separability clause to ensure the independence of provisions, and repealing clause nullifying specific sections of the labor code related to apprenticeship. And to complement the filing of the bill, the EDCOM Standing Committee on TVET and Lifelong Learning has been conducting consultations and site visits on enterprise-based training, a broad term for all forms of training conducted within the industry and enterprises. And this is, of course, within the personal knowledge of our two commissioners in EDCOM 2. And I think the strength of this bill is that it has the benefit and support of first-hand access to data provided by our experts and stakeholders in our consultations within EDCOM. So the following are the matters that the Standing Committee on TVET in EDCOM 2 that we respectfully seek to resolve in the broader EBT policy under the Senate Bill 363. First is to ensure that the bill enables the participation of the MSMEs in the parameters and incentives provided in the bill. This is critical considering that according to PSA, 99.6% of enterprises are MSMEs as of January 2022. Second is to rationalize and consolidate all EBT policies in a way that reduces confusion on the ground, provides parameters and incentives that are tailor-fitted to the learners and industries catered to by different modalities as follows: the apprenticeship, not only apprenticeship but also learnership, on the job training, practicum, work appreciation program, dual training system, and internship. These provisions are critical in the light of the following. Based on tested data, enterprise-based training remains to be the least populated modality in TVET, accounting only for 9% of enrollment in 2022. In the NTE SDP 2018 to 2022, the agency stated the goal of enlarging the scope and impact of enterprise-based training to elevate it as a dominant delivery mode, as well as harmonizing EBT programs to avoid confusion among stakeholders. The target then was to increase EBT share from 4% in 2016 to 40% by 2022. We submitted our position paper, Mr. Chair, providing the details and comments in the provision in Senate Bill 363. But as I end my manifestation, my opening statement, Your Honors, I'd like to highlight also the importance of Senate Bill 363 in providing finally a legal framework on the enterprise-based training. Currently, it is a provision included in the Labor Code, and the Labor Code has been there for a long time. It was first decreed as PD 442 in 1974 and has gone through many amendments, including the creation of the TESDA. And I'd like to highlight a specific point that the apprenticeship provision in the Labor Code focuses on the employment element or component of an EBT, which I think now with the focus on many modalities, highlighting also the importance of the education component in such training conducted in the enterprises, I think it's high time really to provide a legal framework so that we are not limited by protection on employment. One specific example is that under the Labor Code, it says that apprenticeshable occupations are those that require highly technical skills, but are mastered or learned within a 6-month period. So yun po yung limitation. But as we have seen in many studies, there may be other skills that may be learned or require longer period of time. And we think that this is one of the restrictions that should be given flexibility and should be addressed with the expertise of the TESDA. So for now, this will be our opening statement. But again, we submitted our position paper detailing our inputs on each section. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Attorney Estrada, especially in reminding all of us that not all disciplines are the same and not all industries are the same. Let me state for the record that since I was the chairman of the Senate Committee on Labor for quite some time, for 6 years, I remember the labor unions would always support this particular initiative, but with the reminder of what Senator Tulfo made mention a while ago, that this could be used to abuse yung ating mga workers. On the other hand naman, yung mga employers naman, they are all very supportive of this, pero sinasabi din nila, how can we support this kung even the BIR is not aware of how to give our due benefits, no, especially yung tax breaks. So another thing na I would take as a very important reminder is that not all trade disciplines are the same. There are some that you have to really wait longer para ma-master at ma-learn mo. Hindi talaga po pwede na lahat one cup fits all na sombrero, no? Kaya yun yung importante na naiintindihan natin lahat. So we'll start with Senator Gatchalian, our chairperson.